My name is Kira. I'm an alternative pop singer, songwriter, dancer, and visual artist based in Raleigh, North Carolina. And we are here doing this interview so you can get to know a little bit more about me in relation to what I do and my Kickstarter campaign. Honestly, I think it was my dad, just because, when you're young, your parents will put you in things just to, you know, put you in things and have you learn and stuff. So my dad has always had a passion for music, and I think it was just sort of one of the things that I took a natural leaning towards. And so they were like, yeah, let's just put you in music, let's put you in dance, let's just have you do it. So I think it really wasn't uh like a mastermind plan or anything too crazy. It was just sort of, if she likes it, we'll just have her do it. Yeah, and then because I think I had a natural lean towards it, learning more about it and getting more involved, learning about all of the sides, the performance sides, the technical sides of music and of dance and just the arts in general, it definitely resonated with me. And I think since I was young, I've learned then how to express myself through the arts, because then it being introduced so young, it felt like my most natural vessel to sort of express my feelings and my thoughts. My website is www.kiratakei, Kiratakei, and my music, you can find it on any streaming platforms. It's on Amazon Music, Apple Music, Spotify, YouTube. It's on everything and anything you could possibly dream of. Yeah, so I started dance like kind of around the same age I started music, maybe possibly even younger. And I've been through all different kinds of levels of dance. I've been through recreational to like semi-competitive companies to the most like elite and most dedicated sort of company. I've always danced at CC&Co Dance Complex in Raleigh, and I'm an instructor there now, which is kind of crazy. It's like a full circle moment. But I have done local competitions, I've done showcases, conventions. I was also a part of their pre-professional company, Pre-Pro, which I'm now the co-creative director of, which is also pretty cool. So I've had the opportunity to work in a pre-professional setting with a lot of amazing choreographers and people in the industry. As far as conventions, we went to a lot of Break the Floor. We did 24/7, Nuvo, Radix, all of that fun stuff. We did Jump, Adrenaline, Hollywood Vibe, all the fun things. So, when debating an album, there's a lot of things that come into play. Like if it's a concept album, more of a story-driven album, there's so many things that come into mind and come into play when thinking about what it should be. And I think for me, especially in the phase of life I'm in now, with all these transitions between becoming an adult, moving out, there's just like a lot of transitions happening right now in my life. So it felt, I think, the best and most raw, real, and it resonated with me the most to create something that sort of explored that entire process of just being human and just the fact of growing up and all of the super awesome stuff that comes with it and all of the super scary stuff too, because I also know I'm not the only one that is going through this, has gone through this, and will go through this. So I hope that it's also something that's relatable and hopefully healing to listeners. A crowdfunding campaign is super, super important for a project like mine because I am an independent artist and I'm not with a label or anything like that. So it's extra important that I make the connection, make the community, and hopefully have a following and a little music family to help support me and what I want to do. And in return, I'll give you all of the fun things. I'll give you art, I'll give you music, we'll have little connect time to connect. It'll be a great time. But I think community now, specifically with what I want to do and the position I'm in, is more important than anything. So Kickstarter is a really, really awesome and really, really cool platform in terms of what the audience or what the followers or listeners get out of it as well. If you do decide to contribute, there are reward packages, reward levels that we are offering, and that ranges everywhere from merch, from like physical, like swag that you can get to like MP3 files of my songs. So there's really a full range of options that we give back to you if you do decide to contribute. And they also, another great thing about it is you don't have to contribute to support the campaign. You can also share on social media. You can text it to your friends, email it to your coworkers. It's a really, really cool way to get my project out there and to make it even more kind of community driven and community funded. You can share on any social media website. You will be able to go, they'll find a link, copy the link into your phone, into your whatever, and then go to whatever social media platform you would like to, or in a text message or an email, paste that link and say, hey, come check this super cool thing out. So there's many different levels of the reward levels. For example, the beginning levels are full WAV files of my entire album, including behind the scenes sort of footage and clips from creating the album. And then it sort of evolves into some higher levels that involves some merch, some physical like swag and things like that. And then it more so evolves. There's a level with all of the swag, so if you want to get swagged out, and then it sort of goes up into in levels, and that kind of graduates into I can do like a dance lesson with you. I can write a song with you. I can write a song for you. I can do performances for you. And that even goes all the way into executive producer credit, which is super, super exciting. So there's a whole bunch of different levels that you can choose from depending on how much you want to be involved, how much you are willing to contribute. Oh, absolutely. It's one of the levels. That's going to be level 2. With those artists, I think it's a pretty broad range of sort of music and things that they contribute individually. And I think ever since I've grown up, I've listened to everything from like Metallica to my mom likes like soft, like folk music. So I really, really think I like to take everything in and digest it. So specifically with those artists, I think they have really, really phenomenal elements that I have taken in and sort of processed that I'm able to give back. I think I have, similar to Maggie Rogers and maybe a songwriting sense, it's like a little bit more personal, a little bit more raw, a little more real. I think Chapel's music is just so fun. I love what she does. I love the character that she portrays. Troy, a lot of his electronical sort of side of his music and his production I think is beautiful. Yeah, and Billie Eilish, I think she's a phenomenal young leader in this world for the younger generations, and I love what she's doing, and I think her message and what she has to say is relatable, and I think it has translated into what I want to say and how I want to express. I met Kevin via my dad, actually. One of my dad's friends makes music and they had connected. So my dad introduced me to Kevin, and since then it's been history. We've been working together for like 3, maybe going on 4 years. It's been amazing. Kevin has done a lot of phenomenal projects, from working with Dave Matthews to the Backstreet Boys. It has been an absolute honor and privilege to be able to work with him. Specifically with my work, I like to sort of create the idea or the skeleton of it per se, maybe. So I'll write the lyrics, play on guitar, send a video to Kevin. I'll be like, this is the sort of vibe I want to do. We'll send inspiration playlists with like a bunch of different artists and songs that we are kind of setting for an idea for the song, and I'll come into the studio. He'll create a beautiful and work off of my idea. He'll create a beautiful arrangement. We'll talk about details, talk about all the fun things that go into it: vocals, vocal performance, layers, sounds, all that fun stuff. So it really is a phenomenal and amazing and magical collaborative process. I've never opened up with music in my work like this to somebody. I think I'm always the type of person to like not want people to listen to it or not. I didn't even let my parents listen to any of my songs before it's finished, and I still don't let them do that, but I'm working on it. So I think inviting someone in on the process and collaborating in my process is super vulnerable. So we do have the technical things like working out arrangements for songs and plans and stuff like that, scheduling, but then there's also a huge emotional side and component to it that I think, thankfully, Kevin and I collaborate really well on. He's able to support me and sort of get out of me what needs to come out for certain songs and just for life in general. Because if I'm not honest with how I'm feeling in life, that's not gonna reflect in my music, and I want my music to be honest, real, and relatable. So 100%, there's definitely, just like in dance or in a lot of other art forms, of course there's the technical part of it, but then there's also the emotional relatability part of it. I think the difference for me is when I was lip syncing to Taylor Swift in my room, I was doing it because I knew I wanted to be there one day, and I was doing it because I knew um, it's something that I had a passion for. It wasn't just something like, oh, I'll just have fun like in the kitchen and sing a song. It's I had this vision and I had this passion, and I was performing for my stuffed animals, just like I hopefully will in the future. So I think the passion has always been there, and I think thankfully I have supportive parents and a supportive family and community around me that has helped me foster those emotions and those dreams to just keep going with it, from dance lessons, music lessons, finding a producer, just keep working at it. I just think I always knew that it was my dream and my goal ever since I was little, lip syncing in my room. There's probably elements of it that are so like emotional and just built in me that's hard to explain, but I do know that one of my driving reasons for doing all of this and for making music and for being creative is just the matter of fact of connection. I think I have a purpose in this world to connect, whether that's connect people to me, connect people to each other, or connect people to themselves. And I think music and art has a phenomenal way of doing that. So I think, and there have been times for sure along this whole journey that it has been scary and I have been nervous and stuff like that. It for sure has not been easy. But I think the thing that keeps me going is knowing once I put out music, or I can make videos like these, or I finish the album and I put it out and people listen to it, they can hear themselves in it. And I think that that's a really, really touching and inspiring thing that I'm able to give to the world and give to people who listen to it, is that clarity, healing, and relatability towards it. So, at least when it comes to creating songs and being vulnerable with myself when creating songs, creating art is the way that I express myself. If you know me, I don't like to pretty like straightforward talk about my feelings. I normally like go through something, I'll write a song about it, and then it'll be released, or I'll share it with somebody like, oh, I didn't know that was going on. So I think for me, the arts is just the most natural way for me to express my feelings. And then when it comes to releasing it for other people to see or other people to hear, there is a side of me that gets, a little bit nervous because it's a very vulnerable piece of myself that I'm putting out. But I think I also know that through the process of it, I go through all of the stages of processing it. So by the time I reach the end, when the song is being released or when I'm sharing the project, I'm already in a space with that situation or those feelings that like I have closure and I have more confidence in the whole experience. So I think then when it's then given to other people or put in front of eyes, I feel much more confident and much more at peace with how it's received, because I just went through this whole relationship and this whole process creating it. So, and hopefully, kind of like I mentioned earlier, it's relatable, and I know I'm not the only person that goes through all the feelings I experience. So I also hope that once it's out, it's received and it can help others too, to know that they're not alone and they're not crazy and they're not whatever for feeling these feelings, because everyone feels them too. That's a loaded question. I think initially my first thought and my first feeling is how I do process and I intake feelings and how I store them and how they all sort of sit in my heart and in my soul before I really start processing them through art. I think I pay attention to a lot of things. I pay attention to people's tones, how they talk to me, how they talk to other people. I pay attention to just the little details and interactions and in the world, how like maybe a light is coming through the window and it's like lighting up a glass, and for some reason that's like emotional to me, because I think that's really beautiful. There's so much beauty in sort of everyday things. So I think one of the hardest parts is just being so like open and sort of vulnerable with everything at all times because I see everything as an inspiration. And I think the other thing that's hard about it is how do you take, for instance, like the feeling or the sort of emotional whatever of a light coming through on a glass, and how do you capture that feeling into art or into a way that's like you can listen to it or like watch it through dance. So sometimes the transition and the process of creating, turning these feelings or turning this visual or whatever into art is sometimes hard. It's a challenging process that's a lot of drafts and rewriting and getting it perfect till it feels just right. But I'd say that's the other challenge too. Even though it's a fun process to do and I learn about a lot about myself through it, it gets fun sometimes. Yeah, so after the album is released and it's finally being heard and being listened to and out into the world, my next hopes is to be able to tour the album and start performing at any sort of venues I can, be that festivals, weekend things, or small or large tours, whatever that takes or whatever that is. I would love to take that music on the road or in front of people and be able to connect with people in real time in an audience and performance situation. You know dance is going to be included. I can't just leave dance behind. I will for sure will have dance and physical art, like maybe makeup and outfits, costumes. It'll be a whole experience. I feel like if I were to just do one or the other, it would be ingenuine to who I am and the art that I create. So it's hard to think about performing music without incorporating a dance, without incorporating makeup, without incorporating outfits. So it's going to be, because I have to. I just have to. It's going to be a little bit of everything. My mentors mean everything to me. I would be just lost in this world without them. First and foremost, this might be a little bit cringe, but my parents, obviously, I think are my biggest mentors in life. They have taught me so much, from obviously from when I was little to now, from experience as a young person to now a young adult. They have really, really guided me throughout life and given me so much love, guidance, and also have been completely hands off at sometimes and have allowed me to mess up and allowed me to fall on my face so I can learn. My other two biggest mentors are my producer, Kevin. He really, really keeps me on track and helps me helps me believe in myself and it keeps me not necessarily motivated, but keeps me in the mindset that I can do this instead of beginning to, doubt myself as we all do. And my other mentor is Blake McGrath. He's a phenomenal dancer. He's been on Dance with Britney Spears, Dance on So I Think You Can Dance, all of the fun things, but I'm currently interning for him this season in his online mentorship program, and I'm also one of his pre-professional mentees, and his guidance and confidence building has been absolutely phenomenal, and all the love that he gives to me, his team, and all of his mentorship students is so, so inspiring, and I hope to follow in his path with how he leads through life as a human and as a dancer. Yes, absolutely. So synesthesia is essentially a connection in the brain where there's a whole bunch of different types of synesthesia. For instance, chromesthesia is when you hear a sound, hear music, and then you can see sort of music or colors all around you, surrounding you. They can come in shapes, textures, colors, they come in splots. So it's sort of like this involuntary experience of colors, essentially with synesthesia, and textures too. Some people can hear something and taste a certain flavor or taste a certain texture, for example. So it's this really, really cool sort of cross wiring in your brain that you have one sensation and you feel another at the same time. So for me, I have synesthesia, but it's more to the degree of chromesthesia, where I hear music and I can see colors and I see shapes and all of this like abstract things around me. And that definitely does come into play when creating music, and specifically in relation to this album as well, especially with the idea and the concept of it, with the first half being dark and then the light half maybe being more light. So when creating songs, when writing them, when being in the studio, I want to make sure that the colors, the textures, the visuals are all sort of falling into line with what I hope to feel emotionally. So if it's a song and it's like, yes, it's right lyrically, but for some reason there's one sound in the mix that's like really yellow when I'm trying to make this like blue and purple, it's gonna stick out like a sore thumb and really make me angry. So I really want to make sure that it is falling in line and is right in relationship with what I'm seeing in front of me with my synesthesia.